life to live. What's your purpose? What can you give? My spirit alive, it cannot die. My head held high, I talk to God, my God replies. Only one life to live. What's your purpose? What can you give? My spirit alive, it cannot die. My head held high, I talk to God, my God replies. I've been making sure my living not in vain. Nobody promised that it wouldn't be rain. If you oppress me, then we all got pain. If we come together, what more could we gain? Shouldn't debate to prove that we equal. No such thing as a human, that's illegal. I got my eyes in the sky like an eagle, and what goes around comes around like a sequel. Black Lives Matter is an understatement. Black lives are necessary. No, we do not believe secondary. Coming in peace like King, but willing to turn them like Malcolm. I pour my soul in the outcome. It's not over until we overcome it. We don't do things just for income. Fulfilling the destiny. Came a long way towards equity. Now we just leaving a legacy. Only one life to live. What's your purpose? What can you give? My spirit alive, it cannot die. My head held high, I talk to God, my God replies. Only one life to live. What's your purpose? What can you give? My spirit alive, it cannot die. My head held high, I talk to God, my God replies.
Or was in jail or something. So when I was 14, I was on a march with the NAACP in 1959, and it was a real lesson because there were 26,000 students there, and the next day my mother told me, now look at the Times, the New York Times, nothing on the front page, nothing anywhere. Until, oh, there it is, this little teeny paragraph on page 64 of the New York Times. And this morning, when I opened up the LA Times and the New York Times, unfortunately, there was nothing. So, but I am really encouraged by people coming out and still fighting all these years. In '63, in the summer, I had broken my ankle and I didn't think I'd be able to go. And then a few days before the march, my doctor put me in a walking cast. So I took a bus. All the other buses were all booked and everybody was going. And so I took a bus down to Baltimore, and I don't remember how exactly I got to the march, but I remember I got there way early and sat down next to the stairs. There's like a flat area that I sat down and watched everybody arrive. It was quite incredible, and 250,000 people. One guy roller skated from Chicago, and that was on the front page. So, I mean, we've come a little teeny way, and sometimes I find it extremely discouraging, but I know that people are still out there fighting, and we need to be continuing this until we are all at a place where there is justice, all kinds of justice across the board. And I'm glad to be in Ashland and out of the big city, and I just hope that we can have something in our future to look forward to. I wish you were more optimistic than that sounds, but thank you.
Ms. Chair, thank you so much. We appreciate it, and so much for giving us the words of the year. Make sure I got this right.
You're standing right in front of Everybody, we can't see.
Thank you. All right. So now we're gonna ask that Dr. Newby Craig will come forth. Again, Dr. Craig and I are from Selma, Alabama. Dr. Craig actually marched with Dr. King as well in Selma in 1965, and then she will introduce Mr. Ludevo.
Thank you everyone for being here. I love the community of Ashland. Ever since I've come here, I moved away from Selma many years ago, but looking for a home, sort of like the Boll Weevil song, searching for a home. And I found a home up in Anchorage, Alaska. And all the time, on my scope, from the time I left Selma, Alabama, I knew I was going to reside in the state of Oregon. And that's another story in itself. But all I want to say to you is I am so happy and so proud to see so many of you come here to celebrate a man who made a very big difference in my life. And I tell people, Dr. King saved my life. And others say he put you in harm's way. And I go, because I was a teenager full of anger, full of hatred for any person that was white. Angry. Living in Selma, Alabama, oh my God, I felt justified. But I learned the lesson from Dr. King about love. Loving your fellow men and taking that anger, turn it away because it eats away at you. It eats away. Give love, show love. And even when they beat us on Bloody Sunday, when they would torture us when we were in the jail cells, and I went there many times, I'm speaking the truth. I often would sing the song, I love everybody. I love everybody. And that, the singing of those songs is what gave me strength as well as all the other youth who were in the cells with me. And all of the people who were on the Edmund Pettus Bridge when they really lit into us, we continue to sing, I love everybody. Now, all of us have heroes and sheroes. Well, I'm telling you, in Selma, Alabama, Viola Liuzzo became my shero. My shero. And oh, the pride that I have when I met her daughter Mary here in the valley. So I'm gonna stop and let Mary come forward. Keep loving your hearts, everybody. Loving your hearts.
You know, I was looking out here and everything, and it struck me how easy it was for us to be here today. We pulled up our cars, we got out of our cars, we walked over here, we started talking, started being with each other. But it wasn't really easy. It took 50-some years of people doing this and doing this and doing this until we could be together here today. And that, the price that was paid for this gift, we can't forget. There were tens of thousands of people, and who knows how many were murdered, and others, their lives were ruined and everything, so that we could be here together today in an easy way. And my mother was one of those. And I have to tell you, one of the things they said about my mother was that she didn't love her children if she would abandon them and go down and get involved in something that was none of her business. But I'll tell you, when I go to Selma to this day and somebody introduces me, the person will open up their arms and take me in, and I've gotten more love for being my mother's daughter than I ever could have gotten all by myself. So I want to thank you all and thank all of you. You know, you can almost see, or you can certainly feel, the thousands and tens of thousands of people that have struggled to do what you're doing today. And what I know, it takes effort for all of us to do it and to keep doing it. But there is a beloved community in their future. Dr. King said it, a world where justice and equality prevail and every human being has the opportunity to reach their highest potential. And that's what we're doing. And we're building it, and it's going to be better for our kids and their kids and their kids until someday we have that prize that we've been looking for. Thank you so much.
So I just want to say to Ms. Shapiro, to Dr. Craig, and to Mary, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your stories with us, for allowing us to understand what it was like during those days, what it was like during those marches, what it was like just to be standing in the face of hate, but meet that hate with love, and what that has mean when you look around this place, this plaza right now, because that love has become realized. We still have so much more we need to do, so much work we need to do, but it's something that we can continue to do and will continue to do. I want to say, like Mary says, for thinking about how it affects our children. I'm so excited the work that I see when I look over and I see the Truth and Power Club, Truth and Power group over there from the middle school, from the high school, excuse me, and the work that they did for. Let me do a shout out for the work that you did for the mural. That mural was incredible. Please give me a hand. So if you haven't seen it, please go by the high school and see it. It's incredible. And then we'll finish, as Dr. Craig put forth, one of Dr. King's speeches, he said that every nation was now developed an overriding loyalty to mankind as a whole in order to preserve the best in their individual societies. This call for a worldwide fellowship that lifts neighborly concern beyond one's tribe, race, class, and nation is in reality a call for an all-embracing and unconditional love for all men and women as well. So let's make sure we're clear about that. I want to say again, we thank you so much. And from this point, what we're going to do is, again, Preston will start our listening of the I Have a Dream speech. For those of you, this is your first time hearing it or knowing it, and most of you probably have only heard those 34 words that everybody repeats and knows. But when we play the speech, it is a full 16-minute speech so that you feel the entire piece of what Dr. King was trying to get across and what he was preaching to that group of people, to those thousands upon thousands of people that were in front of the Lincoln Memorial to listen to the speech and to hear it, what it meant, even to the point where he was concerned for the sake of his life then because of the speech that he was getting ready to give. It's such an important piece of our history, all of the speech, not just part of it, but all of the speech. So we so thank you for doing so, for being here to listen. Please keep in mind as you're listening, just listen to how those words come together and how those words come in order for us to be together and understand, not just listening for the key words that were once there, but how the whole speech comes together. So again, I want to say I thank you. When we're done with the speech, Preston will start, We Shall Overcome. And when we sing that all together, I won't force everyone to hold hands because of the pandemic, obviously, but I do want you to stay and be as close as we can together without breaking the rules, and sing together, We Shall Overcome, and prepare that. Because when you leave here, folks, when you leave here, this is not just I did my Martin Luther King Jr. days and I'm done for the year. No, this is your wake-up call to say from here on out, we will do work. We will make this place better. We will be better people, and we will do better each and every day of our lives. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. So please enjoy the speech. Enjoy your camaraderie together after we sing the song, and then enjoy when you go, please go and listen to Black Arts and Social Empowerment as they do the 2 o'clock virtual MLK Day. We're so looking forward to that as well. And thank you for being here today.
am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Five score years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. And so we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. And so we've come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until that is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. Those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But that is something that I must say to my people who stand on the warm threshold which leads into the palace of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protest to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to a distrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. As we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is a victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our body is heavy with the fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the city. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by signs stating for whites only. We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and a Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulation. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friend, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, my country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, Let freedom ring, and if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Yup. Lately step outside, don't know if I make it home. I know I can't be the only one feeling all alone. They tryna force us in a straight line, turn us into clothes, but they forget that we queens and kings coming for the throne. Praise intuition, ignore the news, they be lying. I been had suspicion, control our own narrative, let it all be written. Let's take a stand and get a platform to our woman. Hey, sometimes we gotta face the strife, cause it's part of life. But that don't mean turn your back and ignore the plight. They really lucky that us black folks mostly living light. 400 years, how does you think we don't remain so tight? Praise be to the ancestors that paved the way and sacrificed just so we could see a better day. And we done